Hello, and welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for June of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California.
Let's take a look at what's happening in June. And by the way, Taurus, if you missed your birthday reading this year, it's not too late to benefit from a reading of your solar return birthday chart. It tells you all about the year to come and how to handle it for the best results. You'll find a link for it in the description below. I'd like to start with Pluto, actually. Not a favorite planet of yours. Pluto rules your opposing sign, Scorpio. Pluto tends to make life difficult. And here he is, having just this year moved into your 10th house. Now, Pluto is starting out in Aquarius. He's been traveling along through Capricorn for more than a decade, since 2008, actually. And he won't really be done with your 9th house until January 2024. But he is sticking his little nose into your 10th house of career. So this is just going to be a little bit about what is peeking up over the horizon. Pluto brings transformation and metamorphosis, really profound changes, and can make an area of life pretty uncomfortable while he's traveling through it. And once he really gets going in your 10th house, you're going to find that your career is transforming and that you are transforming in your career. Now, one thing to remember is that Pluto transits tend to make us feel vulnerable. And while Pluto is moving along through your 10th house, you might feel vulnerable in terms of your reputation. You might feel kind of exposed, kind of raw, and like you've got to shore up your reputation. And proceeding with as much grace and graciousness as you can manage, and being willing to let go of old aspects of your reputation that aren't a fit for you anymore. Is really the watchword going forward. We'll say more about this as Pluto moves into Aquarius in a more serious way in 2024. So the other outer planet I want to tell you about right now is Saturn, which has recently moved on into Pisces, where he will be traveling this year and next year too. And so Saturn has moved into your 11th house. Now, Saturn brings the hard work and the tough lessons. Saturn is kind of a judge, kind of a critic, and likes to test you wherever he goes. This is a house of networks, friends, community, the people of like mind that you feel a sense of belonging with. And so Saturn could test some of your friendships or some of your networks of acquaintances this year. And I think it's really important when Saturn is in Pisces, which is where he is right now, that we approach any area that Saturn's in with compassion and empathy. And also that we hold good boundaries and don't let ourselves get pushed around too much. So you might find some changes in your friendships or in your circles of friends this year because of Saturn's influence. And we'll say more about that as the year goes on too. So Juno is traveling through Gemini. She starts out the month right here in your 2nd house. And I mentioned this a bit last month, so I'll just say a little bit about it now. Juno is an archetype to do with partnership, most particularly committed partnership, like being married, being in a long-term relationship, even a friendship of duration, or a business partnership. She's traveling through your 2nd house, and while she's here, she brings that partnership sensibility to the 2nd house domain, which is the things that connect us to the physical world, our bodies, the food we put into them, and the money we make to sustain them. So this is a house of sustenance, of survival, of creating abundance and building wealth too. So while Juno is here, This is a really great time for having conversations with any partner that you have, whether that's a life partner in terms of a spouse or whether that's a business partner, about how you can build wealth together as a team and make yourselves more financially secure as a couple. A really great way to spend this transit. So another really great piece of news here is that on June 20th, Juno is going to conjunct the sun in an event that we like to call Commitment Rapture Day. So here they are. They come into a conjunction right here at the tail end of Gemini, 29 degrees here in your second house before she sweeps on into the next sign of Cancer. And when Juno and the sun get together, the sun brings the light of consciousness, right? And lights up Juno. And so I call this Commitment Rapture Day because it's a really good time for deepening a relationship. So if you're ready to propose or set that date, or, just move on, take the next step with your committed relationship, this transit is a really good time to do it. And even if you wanted to elope or do something, kind of last minute like that, that could also be a really good thing. Because it falls in your second house, it's also a really good time to engage in things with your partner that will build wealth for the two of you together in the future. Now I want to speak about Ceres. She is finishing up Virgo. She starts the month in Virgo, and she's in your fifth house, traveling along through it. And I've spoken about this quite a bit in the last couple of months of horoscopes, so I won't belabor it, but I will say that while Ceres is in your fifth house of fun and games and play and pleasure, that you might find that you can be a little bit spendy and wanting to get those luxury items, and that it might make sense to just make sensible choices. But Ceres does move out of the fifth house and into the sixth house right here, June 21st, and she's going to be finishing out her transit of the sixth house in mid-September. So this is where Juno went retrograde. Way back in February, Juno went retrograde right here. Ceres went retrograde right here in your sixth house in Libra. And we declared that this was a financial rebalancing period and that it was going to take you into some difficult spots about your money, having to sort of reorganize your finances and bring them into a better state of balance. That fortunately is over. It ended officially in early May, and now Ceres is working back up towards her best speed and moving on into Libra. She's going to be finishing all this stuff out, and so we're going to get very clear of this by the end of the month. In the sixth house is really a great place for Ceres, though, because she likes the environment of organization that the sixth house provides. So when Ceres arrives here on the 21st and for the rest of the month and into next month too, is a really good time to reset the systems that will help your finances run in a balanced way going forward. Hey, Julia, what's up with Mercury, Venus, and Mars for the Tauruses of the world?
Well, happy birthday, Taurus. Your present this month is that Mercury is moving fast in the sky. It was retrograde last month, causing all sorts of issues, but it's very nice to have Mercury moving very quickly. Communications are going well, contracts are going well, travel can go well too. So Mercury begins the month in your first house of self. It's there for about the first third of the month. When Mercury is in the first, it's a good time for articulating yourself well. It's a great time if you need to impress anybody with your mind, with your intelligence, with your choice of words. So it could be a good time for a job interview, for example. Then by the 11th, Mercury enters your second house mid-month. He's there from the 11th to the 26th. And when Mercury's in the second, you are going to be very preoccupied with your security in life. I mean, you're already somebody who cares a lot about security, but this is the time where you'll be thinking about your money, thinking about all of the things that support you in life, because the second house is under the first house of self. So it represents all the things that help give us a foundation and support. So maybe you're thinking of selling off some items, increasing your money somehow, maybe asking your boss for a raise, for example. Then by June 26th, Mercury's moving into your third house where he's going to be the rest of the month. The third house is a house of communication. It's a house of short journeys, so weekend trips and commutes. So for the rest of the month, you're just going to be very busy, moving around your neighborhood a lot, maybe running a lot of errands, maybe taking some short trips. And if you're writing, this is a wonderful time to do some writing, anything for school, anything for work, any of your personal writing, and especially on June 30th, when Mercury directly conjoins the sun. We call that Greater Epiphany Day. That's a time of insights and revelations, and you can have that into third house matters in your life. So if you are working on some writing now, you could have some aha moments about which direction you want to take things in, or what it is that you actually do want to write about. And it can also be a time of getting some clarity on your relationships with your siblings and your neighbors too. Now, Venus, your ruling planet, starts the month in your third house. She's there for just the first 5 days. So during this brief transit, it's a very good time for being able to be diplomatic with your words. It's also a wonderful time for getting along well with your siblings and neighbors and just enjoying your community and local surroundings. But by the 5th, Venus moves into your 4th house. So for you, Taurus, that means that this birthday, if it's happening from the 5th onward this month, you might just want to invite some friends over to your house instead of going out, maybe cooking a nice dinner at home and inviting your friends and family and just enjoying your home place more, because that's what the 4th house is all about. It's also a great time for getting along well with your parents. Maybe they get you a nice present this year, and just feeling a lot of harmony in the domestic area of your life. It's also a good time to make your house more beautiful too. Now, that having been said, Mars, the planet of action, is also in your 4th house all month. And when Mars is in the 4th, it brings a lot of drive into the home front. So Mars in the 4th can sometimes mean emotional confrontations with the people that you live with. It can also mean maybe getting upset about things that happened a long time ago. The 4th house does represent your past, maybe your childhood, maybe things that happened years ago. And Mars is our anger. So things that get you angry now might be connected to something that happened a long time ago. However, because Venus is in the 4th with Mars most of the month, I think she's really going to kind of polish up Mars a little bit and make him a little less feisty, which is good. So having both of these planets in the 4th house means that this is a great, great month to do a lot of projects around the house, so you can make your home as beautiful, as comfortable, and pleasurable as possible.
And doesn't that sound nice?
Oh, yes.
Hey, Jamie here. Did you know we run live workshops monthly where you can get questions answered about your own chart? Join us for a live customized reading of your personal chart. This month's topics are success and your Saturn return, transiting nodes and your destiny, and harvesting opportunities during your Jupiter luck year. And these workshops are available exclusively for our beloved Patreon subscribers. You get the Nodes and Destiny workshop with your Tier 2 subscription, and you get all 3 workshops with your Tier 3 subscription. It's easy to sign up at the Patreon link in the description below. Now let's get back to the video. So the first of this month's 2 moons is happening on June 3rd. It's the full moon in Sagittarius, landing right here in your 8th house of sharing, opposite the sun in your 2nd house of the things that just belong to you. And there's always some dynamic tension built into a full moon, but this one has a lot of harmony to mitigate that tension. Great connections with Mars and Pallas Athena right here, a sextile to the sun, a trine to the moon. Similarly, great connections to Chiron over here, a sextile to the sun and a trine to the moon. So it's very much softened. Now we're calling this moon Nerdy Adventures. And the adventure part is that moon in Sagittarius, which landing in your 8th house is really kind of up for some financial risk, perhaps. Wants to grow your investments, potentially is just in the mood to grow your investments in maybe a bit of an aggressive way, that does involve more risk. So this moon could definitely put you in the mood for that. And yet the sun can form in Gemini, can form a sort of an anchor to tether you to the ground and make you think things through before taking action. And that's really what air signs excel in. The fire signs do like to leap in there and just do stuff spontaneously, whereas air likes to think about it, sometimes for too long and never even act. So this is why there's this dynamic tension between the two of them. And the sun in Gemini might be you, or it might be your partner. You might have a little, sensible voice in the back of your head that says, well, maybe I shouldn't go crazy and put all of my money into this volatile instrument over here. And yet, your moon might be pulling for doing exactly that. So watch for this dynamic to potentially appear in your partnership. That can happen. You or your partner could play either role and find yourselves bouncing this off of each other. Now, the other moon I want to tell you about is coming up on the 17th. And this one is a new moon in Gemini, and it lands right here in your second house. And so this second house of yours is very full and busy this month, bringing a lot of the emphasis and the attention to the realm of your finances and the money and the possessions that you own that are really just yours, and how you manage your connection to the physical world. And this moon is likely to bring up some new ideas about how you could build your wealth and new theories, perhaps. And it's probably pretty important to be grounded about them as you consider implementing them. Now, this is a moon with plenty of stress in it, forms a square to Neptune over here, a square to Ceres over here. But we're calling this one New Ideas Dream Tested. And the reason for that is that Neptune brings in the theme of dreams and imagination and fantasies like, how much money could I make? How could I build my nest egg? And yet Ceres in Virgo can sort of poke a hole into that dream bubble and deflate it, but also, get it a little bit more practical and down to the nitty gritty. So this Ceres Neptune opposition helps to balance this moon so that hopefully by dreaming and testing both, your ideas can prove to be sound. And then the last thing I want to tell you about is the seasonal change. The sun will leave this second house where there's been so much activity this month, moving on into your third house right here, June 21st. And begin to light up the third house. Now, wherever the sun goes, we want to bring our highest quality attention, because attention is like sunlight. You want to shed it wherever you want things to thrive and grow. And in this case, the sun moving into the third house says that the domain of learning, curiosity, the realm of the mind, of the intellect, and communication and ideas, this is where you want to put your attention. So if you're engaged in a course of study and there's anything that you need to learn, this is a really good time for that. The sun will be here for about 30 days, starting on the 21st. So this is a really good time for studying, maybe cramming if you need to pass an exam. This would be a good time for that. And even if you just want to read up on something or research something and find out more and learn more about something, this is a really good month for that. It's also a really good month for paying attention to how the communication happens between you and the people in your life. When you're in a conversation with somebody, are you really listening to them? Are you really receiving and hearing what they have to say? Are you reflecting to them that they've been heard so that they can really feel that has landed with you? And then when you communicate to them, do you take responsibility for making sure that your words land in their brain in a way that they can receive? And are your conversations pretty much a back and forth and even volley? Good conversational spacing? Or do you dominate the conversation by talking too much or retreat from the conversation by listening too much? So this is a really good month for paying attention to those sorts of things, shining the light of consciousness on them and improving your communication going forward.
Well, that's all we have for you today. If you love Pandora Astrology's free and informative horoscopes, then please do hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share our horoscopes with your friends.
You can find out so much more about how this month's transits affect you in very personal timing in our monthly transits workshop for Tier 2 patrons on Patreon. And it's practically free at $15 a month. Find the link in the description below to sign up. Enjoy this beautiful springtime. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.